Well, welcome everyone to the 2022 Night of 1,000 Words auction and fundraiser. Don't worry, we're not starting yet. This is just a little pre-funk. We're just saying hello. We love seeing Peter and Robin checking in from Los Angeles. Forrest and Allie are both excited. I'm excited. We are live here at Punch Drunk Productions, where we are minutes away from our main program that starts at 7 p.m. Pacific. Now, just a reminder, the silent auction will close tonight at 7:10 p.m. We've got a Lopez Island getaway. We've got the opportunity to be a character in a novel. We've got a manuscript consultation with Peter Mountford and so much more. So if you haven't logged in yet to Greater Giving, you gotta do that. That's how you bid, that's how you donate. So here is what you do. First, go to nightof1000words.ggo.bid. You're gonna click on the button that says Get Started at the top if you have to log back in or start a new profile. You'll create a profile if you haven't been there yet. You're gonna enter your credit card information, and then you're all set to have fun. You'll know you've done it right when you see your name on the main page. Now, if you've got any questions, you can reach out to us in the YouTube chat. As you've seen, we're standing by waiting to talk. In fact, we want to know that you're with us. Say hi to us. We've already heard from our friends in Los Angeles. Say hi. Where are you watching from? What book are you reading this week? Tell us whatever. Let's just start chatting. And don't forget to share photos of yourself attending this virtual event. You can post directly to our Facebook event page, or you can use the hashtag Hugo House. Thank you for being here. Now, all of the live auction items and the silent auction items, they're all up for bid right now, but really focus on that silent auction because it closes first at 7:10 p.m. Pacific. We will see you when we go live with our main show at 7 o'clock.
Hi there. My name is Joshua Marie Wilkinson. I'm a poet and an essayist, a novelist, an editor, and a publisher, and a college instructor as well. I was born and raised in Seattle, and I've been teaching at Hugo House for the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 years. And I've attended many events and am a former Hugo House student as well. I've learned a lot and connected with so many terrific writers through our brick and mortar facility, but also now in these pandemic times through people literally around the country and across the world. I've taught probably at least a dozen classes for Hugo House in various capacities, poetry classes, writing workshops, classes on suspense, fiction, building habits courses, and it's been just an amazing gift and pleasure, especially during these pandemic times, to have been able to work with so many amazing students all over, sprinkled all over the place, especially as we were more isolated and locked down during the pandemic. So I'm just grateful for Hugo House and all that it's offered for me, all that it's offered my students, and I really hope to continue to teach and even take classes and attend events at Hugo House. So thanks so much.
Well, welcome everyone. We're live here. Welcome. It's the first ever live virtual gala benefiting Hugo House. My name is Fred Northup Jr. I'm so thrilled. I get to be your auctioneer and your MC for the evening. By being here, you are powering writers across the region. And I've seen it firsthand as I recently took a year-long Hugo House class on writing middle grade and YA from the amazing Karen Finneyfrock. So I'm not just your auctioneer, I'm a member, I'm a student. But as you all know, it's more than classes. By being here, you are bringing in inspiring speakers. You're offering free programming and resources, including public office hours with writers in residence, providing need-based scholarships, and creating a space both physically and in spirit where writers and readers of all sorts can come to create and learn and try new things. So thank you for what you're about to do. Now we're live here at the Soto studios of Punch Drunk Productions in Seattle. Say hi to us in the chat. Tell us, where are you watching from? What do you love about Hugo House? We want to hear from you. We saw Stacy saying hello, Elizabeth the Noma, Evan Peterson, Evan from Clarion West. Thank you for saying hi. Carol Holding. We just love seeing everyone saying hi in the chat. Now all of the live auction items, they're all up for bid right now. But first things first, the silent auction is going to close at 7:10 p.m. Pacific, so you've got less than 9 minutes. Up for bid in the silent auction, we have a Lopez Island getaway. Look at that. You all deserve a getaway. Plus, check out the mini retreat at Icicle Creek. That is for 4. You can also bid on the opportunity to be a character in a Kevin O'Brien mystery thriller, plus take home 13 of Kevin's New York Times signed bestsellers. I mean, look at all those books. Imagine being in one. Maybe you need a Seattle grunge and sports tour for 6 people. Or how about a private tour and tasting for 15 at Ula Distillery? We've got a manuscript consultation with Peter Mountford and dinner for 2 at Marjorie's. There's also a buy-in opportunity. Everyone, you can all buy in for an evening of great wine and great conversation at J. Bookwalter Winery in Woodinville. It's only $100 per couple. You want to buy that because you get to schmooze with a special guest favorite author. And there's a literary tour of Seattle with Rob Arnold with another surprise special literary guest or 2. It all is going away at 7:10 p.m., so bid quickly. Now, if you're not sure how to play along, here's what we recommend. Use 2 screens if you can. First, watch this YouTube show on your bigger screen, like maybe on a laptop. Then grab a second screen, like a phone or a tablet, and use that for your bidding. On that second screen, just go right there to nightofone000words.ggo.bid. Again, if you're there for the first time or if you need to log back in, just click Get Started, get set up, and you'll be all set to change lives with us. Again, all of the live auction items, they're all up for bid right now, including those 6 live auction items, but all of the items, they're all up for bid. But focus on the silent auction. It's closing at 7:10 p.m. You've got about 6 minutes. And if you see something you really want to win, click the button that says Bid More, and then use the Set Max Bid button to set your maximum bid. Because when you set a max bid, your device, it's going to automatically bid for you when and if you're outbid, all the way up to your maximum bid. Plus, you can make your tax-deductible donation at any time by clicking Raise the Paddle for Hugo House. Now, we've got a very exciting $50,000 match, which I will talk more about later, so please consider digging really deep knowing that your donation will be matched. Now, here we are in a studio. Things are, of course, a little different this year, but we're going to keep it as fun as possible for those of you joining us from the comfort of your homes. Over the next hour, we've got an update from our Interim Executive Director, Rob Arnold. We'll hear from teacher Edgar Gomez and author Lauren Groff. We'll hear from our youth speaker, Adele Donovan. We'll bid on those 6 exciting live auction items, and we'll hear from our 2 keynote speakers, founder and first executive director Francis McCue, and Washington State Poet Laureate Rena Priest, who is here live in the studio, by the way. And we'll end with a final message from our board president, Shahina Piyarali. It's a lot to do in 1 hour, so stay with us, grab a drink. Don't forget to share photos of yourself attending this virtual event. Use the hashtag Hugo House. By the way, if you're ever watching on YouTube and you have a technical glitch like the audio and the video stop syncing, just refresh your browser and most problems are magically fixed. All right, silent auction closing at 7:10 p.m. Bid quickly while you bid. To officially kick things off, please welcome our interim executive director. Rob Arnold is a Chamorro poet and literary professional with 2 decades of experience in publishing and related positions. Rob, come join me. Here you go.
Okay, thanks so much, Fred. Hello, half a day, welcome, and thank you all for joining us this evening from wherever you may be. Before I get too far into my remarks, I want to give a huge shout out to our board for all the work they've done to bring us here tonight, to our teachers and to our amazing staff for the heroic work they do every day to keep classes, events, and other programmings running and making an impact in our community. We cannot thank all of you enough. So please do send a note of appreciation through the chat for each and every one of them. Although we had hoped to be celebrating together, I'm happy to see that so many of us are able to join virtually from our homes or the homes of friends and family or elsewhere. Over the course of this pandemic, we have collectively redefined togetherness. Through Zoom happy hours or solitude social clubs or other virtual gatherings like this evening, just as we've collectively redefined what a classroom or performance space can be, or who is granted access to those spaces. But I want to stay with the idea of togetherness for a moment. Togetherness has always been deeper than proximity. Togetherness is a shared passion, a camaraderie of the spirit, a clustering around meaning. In that sense, togetherness extends beyond geography. And what unites all of us tonight, what brings us all together, is a beautiful idea. The idea is that anyone from any background can access the power of storytelling. And we call that idea Hugo House. 25 years ago, Hugo House was only an idea, dreamed up in the minds of co-founders Francis McCue, Linda Brenneman, and Andrea Lewis. But they had tremendous vision and they had connections to bring in passionate supporters like Linda Johnson, Lynn Grant, and so many others. And most importantly, the idea had power. Power to impact communities and power to change lives. Now, 25 years, 2 buildings, and a transformed city later, we are still guided by the longevity of their vision. And I would argue that even now, Hugo House remains primarily an idea about access to the arts. How we manifest that idea is what makes our work so critical and what brings us together tonight. Now, I often talk about the power of storytelling. But what do I mean by that? What is a story exactly, and what makes it powerful? To me, a story is a collection of events that leads to fulfillment. The authorial role comes in selecting, sequencing, and rendering those events. It comes in building those events so the fulfillment is obscured or delayed, subdued or explosive. It comes in rendering characters that are fascinatingly or heartbreakingly or infuriatingly believable in their journeys. There are many patterns to stories: rags to riches, for example, or riches to rags, or a stranger comes to town, or someone leaves the comfort of home, or maybe two people fall in love or fall out of love. Some stories combine templates or radically reinvent them, or follow no recognizable template at all. But they are all human in some way or another. Do you see what I'm getting at? Story is everything. And it's in everything, from sharing simple anecdotes about our day to the shared pain of national tragedy. Story is a fundamental part of our consciousness. Stories help us understand differences. They help us relate to one another. I sometimes joke that writing is analog telepathy because it's the first and best technologies humans have for taking a thought from my brain and putting it into yours. And it's also a technology for resurrection or immortality, because it keeps working long after the writer has died, so long as there are books and there are people to read them. Maybe that's one reason why writing is such an incredible engine for empathy. What other art form so succinctly delivers someone's thoughts, experiences, and worldview into another person? Or makes that other person live in a totally new reality, or infects their brain with another person's language, or point of view, or sensibility, their tactile senses, how they taste or touch or feel or love. Writing is the art that transforms thoughts and feelings into objects. It's alchemical that way. But that's not the radical part. The radical part comes when you apply the authorial lens to your own life, to your own circumstances, when you begin to write your own story and select the events that lead to your own fulfillment. This is why access to the arts across all neighborhoods, across all backgrounds, sociocultural and economic variables is so critical. Now, we couldn't land a rover on Mars without math and science and engineering, of course, but we wouldn't have dreamt about space for millennia without the galvanizing power of story. Storytelling is its own potential, and harnessing that potential, a kind of creation. So what does that work look like on the ground? Well, last year, Hugo House ran 437 classes, led by 185 teaching artists, 30% of whom identify as Black, Indigenous, or people of color. Now think about what those numbers mean. It means that last year we offered 185 different points of view in 437 craft destinations or launching points, and all at a fraction of the cost of your average MFA program. That is radical access. If you'll indulge me, I have some more figures for you. Last year, nearly 7,000 students enrolled in classes, over 1,000 of whom received free instruction or scholarship assistance, and over a quarter of whom resided outside the state of Washington through our digital programs. We engaged nearly 500 youth students, with 44% of them benefiting from free programming and almost half receiving tuition discounts through our sliding scale offerings. We ran 107 events, 80% of them free, and they were attended by nearly 10,000 audience members and featured 175 performing artists, over half of whom identified as BIPOC. And we offered about 1,000 hours of close mentorship through consultant, fellowship, and writer-in-residence programs. And finally, through employing our accomplished teaching artists and staff, many of whom are wonderful writers and artists themselves, we were able to give back over $1 million last year to the working artists in our community. That's huge. This is the real, tangible impact our work has on the community we serve. And we couldn't do that kind of work without your contributions. No matter how much or how little you're able to give, every dollar you donate tonight has a direct impact on students looking to deepen their connection with writing and storytelling. So please do give, and if your budget allows, consider doubling down on your investment. The great poet and memoirist Maya Angelou once said, "There's no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside of you." I think I know what she means by that. I think she means that everyone has a story to tell. And getting that story into the world is not only powerful, it is essential to living. And releasing that untold potential is the work we do here at Hugo House. Now, I can't predict the future. I don't even want to try. But if I had my way, we would never stop expanding access to our programs, which is to say, offering radical access to the arts. We would continue investing in youth programs as a way of reaching potential writers before they calcify into circumstance or decide that it's just too late for them. This is the work we've done for 25 years, and it will be our work for the next 25. The work is critical, it is difficult, and we need your help now more than ever. So thank you for giving tonight, and thank you for everything else you've done to support Hugo House and the power of storytelling. Now, I'm going to turn things back to our wonderful host, Fred Northup Jr., but first, one of our teachers, Edgar Gomez, wanted to say a quick hello.
Hi, Hugo House. Just wanted to wish you all a congratulations on your 25th anniversary. That is major. Here's to many more. Hopefully, I will be a part of the Hugo House family up until your 50th anniversary or 100th anniversary. I honestly just feel very, very blessed to be a part of the family. And I wanted to say thank you for giving me the space and opportunity to teach queer people in my class, Queering the Personal Essay. Throughout the pandemic, getting to teach queer people has truly been life-sustaining. At a time when so many of us have been pulled apart from our communities, I would say during the bleakest weeks, I always had my Hugo House cohort of queer students to look forward to and to be in community with and to make each other laugh and listen to each other's stories and get to tell stories of our own. In creative nonfiction in particular, we are given the radical opportunity to reclaim our narratives and tell our own stories in our own words. And especially for queer people and other marginalized folk, that is an opportunity that neither I or my students take for granted. And so, yeah, I just wanted to say thank you, and an special thank you for the Hugo House Scholarship Fund that has allowed me to open my classroom door to students who might not otherwise be able to afford these classes and offer more equity for continuing education. Oftentimes, I see so many people who want to learn how to tell their stories and maybe already know how to tell their stories and just need space to do that in. And by being able to direct students who have reached out to me privately and said, "Oh my God, I would love to take your class, but I just can't afford it," being able to be like, "Oh, that's not a worry. Here is a scholarship fund that you can apply to." That has been such a relief to me, and it has been such a blessing. And so, yeah, I just wanted to say thank you, and here's to many more. Take care.
Thank you so much, Edgar, and thank you, Rob. Again, everyone, thank you so much for being here. If you haven't gotten set up to bid and donate yet, please do that now. All of the live auction items, they're all up for bid right now. You can be bidding on the live auction. So grab a second screen if you've got one, like a phone or a tablet. Go right there, nightof1000words.ggo.bid. Sign up, log in. That's also how you're going to raise your virtual paddle. If you've got any questions, just reach out to us in the chat. We love seeing everyone chatting. It's such a vibrant and fun and warm community. I want to hear more about that special cocktail that you've got going on. By the way, if you see an auction item and you really want to win it, click the button that says Bid More, and then there's another button that says Set Max Bid. So you can scroll up, you can set your maximum bid, and again, when you do that, your device is going to automatically bid for you when and if you're outbid all the way up to your maximum bid. So while you all bid on the live auction items, our good friend Lauren Groff wanted to say hi. Lauren is the author of 6 books of fiction, the most recent, the novel Matrix, which, right there. Her work has won the Story Prize, the ABA Indies Choice Award, and France's Grand Prix de l'Héroïne, and was a 3-time finalist for the National Book Award for Fiction and twice for the Kirkus Prize. But tonight, she is here to celebrate Hugo House, so let's go to her now.
Hi, this is Lauren Groff talking about the great and wondrous Hugo House, which is an astonishment. It's organized with such great thought and attention and is housed in such a physically beautiful space that the literary arts in Seattle are accorded a central and inherent dignity and respect that are more commonly shown in Europe at the great literature houses like in Oslo or Berlin or Copenhagen. I am so happy that such a marvel exists on this continent and hope that other cities will be inspired to use it as a model to create their own literary nexuses. So go Hugo House. I love you and thank you for doing the work that you do.
Thank you so much. All right, everyone, while you bid on the live auction items, we want to thank our sponsors for their continuing support, even through all of the changes to this year's event. So we want to say thank you to our sponsors that include Northup Fundraising. Hey, I know, you would think I could say my own fundraising name, right? Thank you, Northup Fundraising. Thank you, Alaska Airlines. Thank you, J. Bookwalter Winery. Libro FM, thank you. Iron Horse Brewery. Punch Drunk Productions, where I am right now. And Alpha Graphics. And of course, a big thank you to Jakiva Phillips, who couldn't be here with us tonight in our smaller studio, but is here with us in spirit. Thank you so much. Give a big hand to all of our generous sponsors for making this event happen. Now, of course, you can make your paddle raise donation at any time, but we are going to formally come together to do that later in the program. First, we're going to finish the bidding on our first 3 live auction items. Items 1, 2, and 3, they're all going to close at the same time in just over 4 minutes. Normally, of course, when we're together, we sell items 1 at a time. But because we're virtual, we're finishing the bidding in groups. Now, our first group is item 1, which is brunch with Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal. Item number 2, the board wine cellar. And item 3, dinner with author Elizabeth George at the amazing Lark Restaurant. All 3, they're going to close at the exact same time together. So to help you bid, we're going to put a countdown timer up. You'll have 4 final minutes to bid on items 1, 2, and 3. And again, if you need help bidding on multiple items or if you really want to win, just click that bid more button and set a max bid. You'll see you've got 2 choices, but I highly recommend you just set a max bid. The computer will automatically bid for you so you can sit back, enjoy your custom writer-themed cocktails and your glass of wine. Set that max bid high so you don't get outbid. And if you're not 100% sure if you're seeing the most recent bids, you can refresh your bidding page. All right, everyone, get ready to finish bidding on items 1, 2, and 3. Again, when time runs out, all 3 items, they close together at the same time. So click bid more, set your max bid. We've got 4 minutes on the clock. On your mark, get set, bid. All right, we're going to talk about these items while you watch the clock. Firstly, item number 1. A lot of excitement about this. Item number 1 is brunch with Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal. You get to enjoy brunch or tea for you and 9 of your friends. Elected in 2016, Congresswoman Jayapal is now serving her 3rd term in Congress, representing Washington's 7th District, which encompasses most of Seattle and its surrounding areas. She is the first South Asian American woman elected to the U.S. House of Representatives, and she is the chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, the Immigration Task Force for the Congressional Asian Pacific American Caucus, and a vice chair of the Congressional LGBTQ Equality Caucus. Now, I don't know if you've been reading the news recently, but there's a lot to talk about with a member of Congress, so this is your incredible opportunity. Thank you so much to Congresswoman Jayapal, and thank you, Board President Shahina Piarali, for this item. We really appreciate both of you. Let's check in on this auction item. Right now, you can see the top bid is $1,200. $1,200 is the top bid. Conrad, Greta, Kaleni, You've all been outbid. Daniel right now is having this incredible opportunity, but don't worry, you've got 2 minutes and 30 seconds left. You can bid. The next bid increment is $1,350. See if you can outbid Daniel. Remember, it's for a great cause, and what an incredible person you get to have brunch or tea with. Amazing. All right. Meanwhile, also up for bid is the board wine cellar. Whether you're a novice, maybe you're a wine connoisseur, you can start your own wine cellar. You can complement your collection with this remarkable selection of wines and tasting donated by the board of Hugo House and several prestigious wineries. We've got 37 bottles in this collection. That's over 3 cases of wine. This includes a case of wine from Nota Bene cellars. Some of the wines also include a 2018 Leonetti Cabernet Sauvignon, a 2013 Chateau Larue Margaux, a 2004 Leonetti Merlot. Of course, that's a library wine. You can't get that anymore. From the New House family vineyards, we've got 3 bottles, Vestige, Scion, and Cotton Top, and more. We've got incredible Washington wines, Napa Valley wines, Pinot Noirs from Oregon. I saw a Domaine Druhen and a Domaine Serene, plus Old World wine. So thank you so much, Dick Gimperly, Shahina Piarali, Lynn Grant, Elise Holshoe, Dottie Mall, Mary Jo Newhouse, Greta Hotop, Tim Shea, Nota Bene Cellars, J. Bookwater Winery. They put all of these together. Top bid, $1,800. You are in the lead. Maria, Dorothy, you've been outbid. You've got 1 minute. Excuse me. Meanwhile, item number 3, dinner with author Elizabeth George at Lark Restaurant. You get to bring 7 friends and join Elizabeth for an unforgettable evening of stories and award-winning cuisine at Lark. An international and New York Times best-selling author, she has written 20 British crime novels featuring Detective Inspector Thomas Lindley and his unconventional partner, Detective Sergeant Barbara Havers. Her crime novels have been translated into 30 languages and featured on television by the BBC. And you're dining at a great restaurant. Lark is one of the Pacific Northwest's premier artisan-focused restaurants. So thank you, Elizabeth George, Lark Restaurant. Checking in right now, Amy Summers, you're in the lead. Elizabeth, you've been outbid. Everyone bid on this. You've got 16 seconds left. Now remember, we're using technology, so keep bidding on your phone or on your device until the bidding officially ends on that. There might be a slight lag between when the timer runs out and when bidding officially closes. So set your max bids high, but time has run out. We are closing down our first 3 items right now. That was so much fun. Let's do it one more time, shall we? Items 4, 5, and 6, they're up for bid, but before we close them down, we're gonna take a few minutes to hear from our youth speaker, Adele Donovan.
Hi, my name is Adele Donovan and I'm 16. I've been taking classes and working with the Hugo House for 4 years. The opportunities and communities provided by Hugo House have helped me to develop my writing and build an intellectual family of fellow writers. In gratitude and support of Hugo House, I'd like to share some of my work. This is a poem called Pedestals Falling Towards Me from the Past. Laughter pools warm around my legs, a balm to the bloody dent in my calf. The Gothic arches to either side are lit in the festival colors of sunfall, the thin-barked trees rattling archaisms with each leaf's impact on its neighbor. Prophet Terrace, a plaza for the divinities that trickle down from fresh-hewn cedar and fill the marble husks left by hands now rendered ash. The amber heavens spear the jewelry chains stained blue around white scars in the chemical light. A sad song about a ship leaving a port town drifts through the distant junipers, smoking with the incense from the cathedral next door. Stars begin to map themselves above, the scripture of my flesh, an incarnation of their alignments eons ago. The geometry of bones is a disciple of the Nautilus. You can see it in the way spiral stairs please the feet of so many. Leave behind, slouch on the roof of a house in Portland as the dust comes prancing in on dragonfly wings. The spiders flicker around my prostrate body, writing ghosts into the wainscoting. Another's dream of a faceless bust, marble and imposing and eerily beautiful, in the same way the fair people pay no heed to those of us crucified in iron. What a cost for freedom! A desert horizon glinting with the smoked courts of sideshow divination, eyes painted garishly on the caravans approaching. An old man melts down baubles in a warehouse on the Columbia's banks. The shopkeeper offers me a cup of black tea laced with sugar, a fabric pen of sweetness plotting fat white lines on the tapestry of travels, a brass bowl of Syrian soaps, and a whirring loom that fills up the entire back chamber. Warp and weft and the towel tears away at my skin when I dry myself, but I can't argue with the fluidity of its voice. Nothing seems to happen when the old man drops an earring in the cup of molten silver. I've not studied architecture in any depth nor physics, but I remember how to echolocate from my time stumbling between cherry blossoms blinded by the pink. Each window mirrors a petal, but the wavelengths are more relaxed. It's not that I'm no longer blind, I no longer need to see. Stone-eyed saints mutter in the eaves between brick and moss. I'm crushed in reverence to the sunset, my bones splintered like the crucifix wood held in too many reliquaries. Grope to groan, I take a front row seat to watch this day die. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Adele. I love watching people in the chat saying how great your poetry is. It's so nice to see you here with us. All right, we're getting back to it. We've got only three auction items that are still up for bid. Item number 4, the Ultimate Sports Package. Item number 5, Dinner with the Boys in the Boat author Daniel James Brown. And item number 6, 1 week at the Kona Coast on the Big Island of Hawaii. Now these are going away, you know how it works, just over 4 minutes. We're gonna put up that clock, and when time runs out, we're gonna close the bidding on items 4, 5, and 6 at the same time. Remember, click bid more, set your max bid. We're gonna put 4 minutes on the clock. On your mark, get set, bid. All right, we're gonna talk about items 4, 5, and 6 while you finish bidding, while you watch the clock. Item number 4 is the Ultimate Sports Package. I love Seattle sports so much, I was bidding on this. Jenny Kincaid, you're a force. I can't keep up. So well played. But everyone else, you can keep bidding on this item because I don't even have my phone with me. So check this out. First, you get to experience baseball like never before with 2 tickets to a Mariners game in the Diamond Club, people. Your seats are located in the second row right behind home plate. All you can eat food ranging from 5-star dining to ballpark favorites, free alcohol. It is an unparalleled experience. Plus you get VIP parking. Next, grab your pucks, get ready to score 4 tickets to an upcoming Kraken hockey game in the next season. Seats are located in section 16, right in the corner, row X. Fantastic view of the action. Finally, you get to take in a Sounders FC match at Lumen Field. You and 3 of your friends will sit in club level seats. But get this, before the match kicks off, you're invited to the Field Club, an exclusive invite-only area where you can watch the team warm up steps away from the sideline. That opens 90 minutes before kickoff. You get hosted beverages there. This is amazing. Diamond Club tickets at the Mariners, Kraken seats in row Y, club seats for the Sounders with Field Club access. Sports fans, this is your time. I can't keep up with Jenny Kincaid, but perhaps you can outbid Jenny. I want to say thank you so much, Elise Holshoe, Danny Glasser, Heather, and John Cahan. Thank you so much for your generosity in bidding this up. Jenny is in the lead at $1,600. Everyone watching, you've got to go $1,800 if you want this amazing 3-parter. Meanwhile, item number 5 is dinner for you and 7 friends with acclaimed author, nonfiction author Daniel James Brown. Now, Daniel James Brown, of course, the author of the #1 New York Times best-selling book, The Boys in the Boat, 9 Americans and their epic quest for gold at the 1936 Berlin Olympics. The book is now being made into a movie. The director is George Clooney. So maybe during dinner, you know, the phone rings and it's George. I'm just saying. The book was also named Adult Nonfiction Book of 2013 by the American Booksellers Association, long-listed for the Andrew Carnegie Medal for Excellence in Nonfiction from the American Library Association. His most recent book is Facing the Mountain, a true story of Japanese-American heroes in World War II. So thank you so much to Daniel James Brown and to our hosts, Dick and Mary Gimperly. We're so grateful. Right now, look at this. I'm the top bidder. Daniel, I outbid you. Everyone else, you got to jump in. The next bid is $1,000. And again, I don't have my phone on me. I'm easy to beat. Last but not least, item number 6, 1 week at the Kona Coast on the Big Island of Hawaii. You can feel the warm sand under your toes. You've got less than 60 seconds left, so set your max bids. Start packing for a vacation that you won't ever forget. You're going to spend 1 week on the Kona coast on the big island of Hawaii. Perhaps you've heard of sunshine. You're going to actually get sunshine. I know it's been rare here, but you're going to get sunshine in your spacious 2-bedroom resort condo at Key Kona Surf and Racket Club. Plus, you've got round-trip airfare valued, of course, at $2,500 provided by Alaska Airlines. So Dick and Mary Gimperly again, and Alaska Airlines, thank you. Current top bidder, $3,500, Barry Trinkle in the lead. Jenny Kincaid, you've been outbid. Sybil James, you've been outbid. Everyone, you got to jump back in if you want to outbid Barry and bid $3,750. Again, keep bidding until the items fully close on your phone. All right, 5 seconds left. I'm going to take a sip of water. Will you mute my mic real quick? I'm good. All right. Got to clear the throat. It's a lot of talking here. Our final 3 items, they're closed down. So thank you to all of our bidders, all of our donors. We're closing those down. Now, of course, you can make your tax-deductible donation at any time. But before we formally come together to raise our virtual bid cards, we want to hear from our first of 2 keynote speakers. Frances McCue is a poet and a prose writer. For a decade, she was the founding director of Hugo House. She has published 6 books, including a book of essays about poet Richard Hugo, The Car That Brought You Here Still Runs, and produced a documentary about Hugo House in Capitol Hill, Where the House Was. Speaking of which, in 2011, McCue became the first writer to win the Washington State Book Award for one book, The Blood, a poetry collection, and placed as a finalist for a second book, The Car That Brought You Here Still Runs. Amazing. Please welcome her to your screen now.
Hi, everybody. My name is Frances McCue, and I was one of the 3 founders of Hugo House, and I'm delighted to speak to you today. I'm so glad that you're gathering for the 25th anniversary. It's a big one, and we're thrilled to have you here, even though it's virtually. Sometimes I think of that place as the old creaky Victorian fourplex that it was on 11th Avenue. And it was once a funeral home, and then it was a theater, and then it was Hugo House. And my family and I lived upstairs from the cafe where many of the readings took place. And there was a little stage, and you could hear the whispers through the floorboards as I put my daughter to sleep at night. She's about to turn 27 now, and when she was a little girl, she roamed the halls of Hugo House. So that's one way of thinking about the time that's elapsed between the time we started the place and now. In the mid-90s, Amazon was a thought of Jeff Bezos, and he was about to open an online bookstore from his garage in Bellevue. And I remember Linda Brenneman, formerly Jake, one of the other co-founders, and Andrea Lewis, the second co-founder, saying that it was really interesting that he was going to sort of disrupt the bookstore world with this online bookstore. And I don't remember paying attention to it at all. Just saying. Anyway, on this occasion, I've been thinking a lot about place, and what a pleasure it is to think back to the place that occupied the Hugo House land before the beautiful building where it is now. And just the creaks and ghosts and little hauntings that people said were there may have been the trapped voices of Seamus Heaney and George Plimpton and Nikki Finney and a lot of other writers who have been through Hugo House. I also think a lot about Hugo himself, who would be 99 now, if he were alive. I was taken by Hugo, and I think so were Linda and Andrea, because he wrote about the kind of disparaged places in the American West. Old mills, gritty old ruined rivers like the Duwamish, thick with slag that had come out of Boeing, the leftover mining remnants, old bars where the bathroom said pistols and holsters for men and women. And these old places, I think, Hugo shone a light on with his poems. I found that really moving. And for a long time, I was attracted to those overlooked places in the American West. And now, 25 years later, I see what Hugo was doing. I think it's not so much that the disparaged places had this resonant romantic beauty, but rather it was how he wanted us to cherish them. And I think of places now, particularly Hugo House, as a place to be cherished. I have a few stories to tell you about what it was like back then. And I think I would start with Linda and Andrea, who were older and wiser than I was. I was in my early to mid 30s when we were getting going, and I was fresh out of some really idealistic work I was doing on innovative schools. I was interested in what would happen if you put creative writing at the center of a learning experience, and you brought together people of all ages and backgrounds and tried to help them learn together. I was really interested in the civic impact of that. Now, Linda was really interested in innovative philanthropy. She had helped her husband, gave him support while he was a co-founder of Aldus, which later became something you might have heard of called Adobe. And she was very drawn to how philanthropic efforts might mirror some early software startups. In other words, you get a really good idea and you think about how to nurture it organically and bring it along. And then Andrea Lewis, who is our sage, really our wise person in the trio, she was in the first 10 at Microsoft. And she was a technical writer there, but she was much, much more. Andrea has a way of shaping ideas and taking the mess of a creative enterprise and turning it into something coherent. So between the three of us, I was very idealistic about education and writing and building the kind of, this sounds really ambitious, but I wanted to help build the nation's future literary heritage. And I wanted to disrupt civic life a little bit and get people who wouldn't normally be together talking to each other. That was important to me. And it was important to Linda to come up with a creative, sound, thoughtful, results-oriented business plan that would bring all of this creativity and innovation into philanthropy as well. So Linda provided the seed money to get going and so much more over time. And then Andrea helped us form and shape our ideas. So one day in the evening, I was finishing work upstairs and I was about to go down the hall and go home to my apartment. And I heard a knock at the front door. And I went down and there was a guy standing on the porch in this kind of stained chef's uniform. And, you know, I was like, okay. And the thing that goes through your mind is, oh no, what do we have now? You know, because Hugo House is a lively place. So I opened this door and the guy says, hey, listen, is this Hugo House? And I said, it is indeed. And he goes, listen, you got to help me. I'm in a little bit of trouble. And I was like, wow, what's wrong? What's happening? And he said, well, my family has this foundation and I'm supposed to be doing my homework to give some money away in the Seattle area. And I'm coming to you because I went to a couple of other places and they kind of weren't ready to deal with me. And I said, why? And he goes, oh, well, because the application to my family's grant-making entity is due. And he looks down, he goes, well, it's due tomorrow. And I said, oh, no problem, right? Like, I mean, who comes to your door and says, I'd like, well, anyway, you get the idea. So he came in. I talked to him about his family foundation. They were based in New York. And he said, yeah, this sounds perfect. like, we all really like literature and we like social activism. So I said, great. So I stayed up really late and I did the grant and I gave it to him and off it went. And sure enough, a few months later, we were awarded, I'm going to say like $5,000 or $10,000, which in those days was like huge. Like that could have been half the budget for something. So I was so grateful to this guy. His name was Peter Moorer. So maybe it was a year later and Peter called me and said, listen, my family wants to come over and see what they funded. I said, absolutely. So 11 taxi cabs pulled up in front of Hugo House. I kid you not. And I'm immediately thinking like, what is this? And all these folks started getting out. I think there were like 20 or 30 people. And Peter was like, yeah, this is my family. They're all in from all over the country. And so I meet his dad, who's got a bow tie, and he's the patriarch. And he's like, I'm Gil Moorer. And I said, it's great to meet you. So they all come in and we sit down at this conference room table. And I had to pull in extra chairs for all of them. And at some point through the meeting, the patriarch, Gil, Peter's dad, starts thumping his fist on the table and he goes, we made our money through reading and writing, and by God, we're going to give it back to reading and writing. And I was like, wow, thank you, sir. Like, Mr. Moore, that's amazing. And I said, so what's your business, or how did all this happen for you? And he looked at me and said, well, I am the CEO of a little something called the Hearst Corporation. And I was like, well, anyway, Hearst went on to give us more money and we became friends with the Moores, and Peter and his wife have been incredibly supportive of Hugo House over the years. And I guess I'm telling you this story because of the surprise of it. Like, you could strategize and make benchmarks and business plans, but you have to open the door to the guy in the dirty chef outfit. You know what I mean? And that works like a poem does, which is the kind of the second or third thing I wanted to mention to you, is that I think a really good, strong organization, it's not only nestled in a place, a patch of earth, but it also functions like a poem. Like, there's a structure, there's a root through, but then there's always a volta. There's always a turn or an image that is completely surprising. And it turns the whole poem away from the original intent, or maybe your original map for it. In Arabic poetry, they call it kindling, when the poet warms up with some beautiful description of landscape or place, and then that sets the stage for the next stage of the poem, which in ancient Arabic poetry was often about paying homage to a person or someone who had helped support the endeavor of the poem. So, well, let me just say that a lot of inadequate poems are all kindling, right? All they do is describe one thing and then stick to the subject without surprise. They may do it beautifully, but eventually the kindling sort of burns out and dulls the mind, unless you have something bigger. So Hugo was big on setting up innovations that would help poems turn and create surprise. And it's kind of the thing that we're always looking for as writers. So that was an important thing about the 25 years, I think, is how much Hugo House resembles a wild poem and how we should definitely nurture that. The poet Seamus Heaney came to Hugo House shortly after he won the Nobel Prize, and he was so dear. That's my biggest thing about Seamus was, I don't even remember, to be honest, the poems that he read. We had a breakfast for him, and it was very early on in the development of the house. And I remember that Maddie, my daughter, sat on his lap the whole time, and he was so kind to her and so taken in by what we were doing in starting a writer's center. There was no status advantage at all to Seamus Heaney coming to Richard Hugo House. There was only his desire to come give us a little boost as we got going. And when he left, he said something to the effect of, "Frances, I'm so pleased to see how this isn't one of those deadening kind of Soviet cultural centers that just makes you feel like nothing can happen." He was like, everything could happen here. And in the intervening years, it surely did. So those are some stories. And I guess the last thing that I would want to say is that Hugo House needs to be a place. And in these intervening years, these tough few years that we've had in Seattle, Hugo House has been right in the middle of some of our most challenging and eye-opening and awakening experiences. COVID has sent us all online, and in some ways, I know now as a professor, I know that the online experience can actually be very, very good for some students. It allows people to speak up in ways that they might not in a bricks and mortar classroom. It allows people who feel more culturally isolated in some way to have a voice that doesn't feel scary to have. You know, there's something kind of leveling about the virtual experience and its ability to provide direct instruction. It's cool the way you can look right at a poem, right at the lines, see right where they break, and you can look at that all together. So that said, I mean, Hugo House is providing some very, very good virtual experiences, and I hope this one is okay. And that's great. But the real center of the place is that it's a place. And you can't overlook the accidental interactions that happen now in that beautiful building. You know, the unlikely thing of someone coming in and meeting someone else, or getting to talk to a writer who is someone you admire very much and talk to them about how they built a piece of prose or poetry. I think back to Louise Erdrich coming when she published The Birch Bark House. And we had an event for her where we only allowed children to get tickets. And if a child wanted to bring an adult, that child was welcome to bring an adult. But really the whole event was for children. And Louise as a writer was so taken with that. I think she said something like, "I've never really interacted with my own audience so directly." And it was amazing. So the place is a gift to the city. And we have Linda Johnson, Linda Brenneman, Andrea Lewis to thank for that. And we have Tree Swenson to thank for the new building and all of the effort she put into making that happen. And I'm glad to be sort of the old lady now who looks back and says, I remember when this happened or that happened. And it's a great pleasure for me to do that. So happy gala to you all. And I'll hope to meet you at the physical Hugo House very soon. Thanks for listening.
Well, thank you. And before we get to our final keynote, we're going to give you all the opportunity to join us tonight. And if you love the written word as much as we do, we hope that you will dig deep right now if you haven't already. And we're going to make it easy for you. We have a $50,000 match. We're going to talk more about that later, but we hope it will inspire you to really dig deep. Now, our top level is $25,000. We're going to start at a big number and work our way down. We're confident there's a level that works for everyone. But when you give $25,000, you sponsor one of Hugo House's signature WordWorks, or Hugo Literary Series of events, bringing nationally renowned authors to premiere new work and talk about their craft on our Hugo House stage. And we're watching all of your gifts coming in live right now. We have an anonymous donation of $25,000 from a big supporter of Hugo House. Thank you so much. If anyone can join them at $25,000, please do. And again, we're watching your gifts coming in. We want to say thank you to Linda Brenneman and Eric Strand at $25,000. That's amazing. Thank you so much to Linda and Ted Johnson, also at $25,000. If you can join our 3 lead donors at $25,000, please do. Now, I should mention, by the way, if you want to pay by check or donor advised fund, you can also just call the number on your screen down there. Now, as we're watching your gifts coming in, you can see we're already at $98,000. Let's keep going. Our next level is $10,000. And starting us off at $10,000, we want to say a big thank you to Andrea Lewis. When you donate $10,000, you fund an entire quarter of Hugo House's scholarship program, providing access to the literary arts for all. So in addition to Andrea, again, all of these gifts, thank you so much, Dick and Mary Beth Gemperly. Thank you for all that you have done over the years and this year. All right, keep joining them. If you could join them at $10,000, please do. Again, we're watching your gifts coming in live right now. You can see your name popping up on screen. Our next level is $5,000, and this is a very important level. Starting at $5,000 and below, all donations are being matched dollar for dollar up to $50,000. This means your $5,000 can become $10,000 right now. So who can join us at $5,000 knowing you're being matched dollar for dollar? When you give $5,000, by the way, you're providing a year's worth of stipend for the Hugo House Writers in Residence program. So thank you so much, Bruce Funkhauser, Michelle Friars, my company, Northup Fundraising. Who can join all of us at $5,000? And again, we're watching all of these gifts coming in live. We're so grateful for this generous community. We've got that match coming in as well. Let's keep going at $2,500. If you can join us at $2,500, please do. Your $2,500 could become $5,000 right now because of this match. So if you could join us at $2,500, you could commission a writer to create new work for the Hugo Literary Series. And we've got so many donors coming in at $2,500. I love it all. Thank you so much, Dottie Hall and JJ Leary. Thank you so much. You can see Sharon coming in live right there, John and Patsy, Danny and Michelle Glasser. Thank you so much. Sharon Skeeter, who we saw, John and Patsy Burgess, thank you again. Who else can join them at $2,500, $2,500? And again, with that challenge, we hope you'll dig deep. Meanwhile, our next level is $1,000. So because of our matching funds of $50,000, your $1,000 could become $2,000 right now. And when you dig deep and give $1,000, you support 1 week of pay for a teaching artist at Summer Scribes writing camps for youth, which we heard people talking about in the chat, how meaningful that program is. So a lot of people giving $1,000 right now. Thank you, Kip Greenthal, Margaret Pack Inslow, thank you so much. Lynn Rauch, thank you. Alexandra Loeb, Sean Clemens, Sharon Goldberg. We've got a lot of people to thank at $1,000, so thank you so much. If there's anyone I'm missing, of course, I'm going to keep watching these screens. We've got all these gifts coming in live right now. Meanwhile, our next level is $500. $500 can become $1,000 with our match. When you give $500, you provide 2 scholarships for an adult or teen in financial need, giving the gift of a Hugo House class to someone without the means to enroll. So think about what you're doing for others when you give $500. Thank you so much, Mike and Lois Tricky. We're watching all of your gifts. The one and only Louise Kincaid. Thank you, Louise. Thank you so much to Jason and Jamie Strayer. Elizabeth Denoma, thank you for your generosity at $500. Laura back there, if there's anything that I need to see, just show me. You can zoom in a little. It's hard to read these names. There are so many gifts coming in. Everything's getting smaller and smaller. Our next level is $250. $250 becomes $500 with the match. And when you give $250, you provide 1 scholarship to an aspiring writer in a 6-week class. So if you can join us at $250, please do. I'm seeing all of this, Sharon Goldberg, Sean Clemens, all these gifts that I've thanked. Anna Tolan, thank you so much. John Van Newkirk joining us at $500, and Tim Shea and Harriet Bakken. These are gifts all different levels. Mike Tricky, I'm probably thanking some of you twice, which is a great thing to do. Ina Chang, thank you so much. Jessica, thank you. Mary Bailey, Robin and Donna and Judy and Pamela. We're just watching all of these gifts coming in. Sue and Linda, Louise again, Rebecca, just everyone coming. This is about a community coming together. We have people giving $50 and $500 and $5,000. We only ask that you make a gift that is meaningful to you, and that's going to be different for everyone. Now, $100 becomes $200 with our match. This is our last official level, but of course you can give at whatever level is meaningful to you. There's a custom button. You can invent your own level. When you donate $100, you provide supplies and refreshments for youth and summer scribes camps, the Teen Right Time group, our Young Writers cohort. Thank you for doing that. Again, Jennifer, thank you. Andrea, thank you. John and Patsy, again, thank you so much. We're just watching all of these gifts coming in live right now. Let's see what else I can see. So just keep those gifts coming in. There's Carol Holding joining us at $1,500 live right there. You can see we're at $176,000 with your generosity. Elizabeth, thank you for your generosity. Again, we're just watching these gifts coming in live right now. We're so grateful to all of you for joining us right now. $176,000 and counting. Now, if you're sitting out there and you're thinking, wait a minute, where I need to go find my wallet, where'd my wallet go? You've got time. Go find your wallet. We've got an amazing speaker coming up shortly. But first, a big round of applause for everyone who raised their paddle in support of Hugo House, and thank you to our community of writers. And again, if there's an amount I didn't call, just click the custom button and give whatever amount is meaningful to you. We are so grateful. Remember, that giving link is going to stay up and active until Sunday, May 22nd, so please share the link with your friends and family on social media so they can donate too. And you can also share this YouTube link. This program is actually going to automatically archive right here. And finally, a reminder, if you work for a company that will match your donation, please make sure they do that this week. All right, it is now time for our second keynote speaker. Rena Priest has been appointed to serve as Washington State's Poet Laureate for the term of April 2021 to 2023. She is the recipient of a Vaden Foundation Fellowship and an Allied Arts Foundation Professional Poets Award. Her debut collection, Patriarchy Blues, was published by Moonpath Press and received an American Book Award. Her second collection, Sublime Subliminal, is available from Floating Bridge Press. She holds an MFA from Sarah Lawrence College, and we are so honored to have her here with us. She's right here. Please welcome, everyone, Rena Priest.
Thank you. Aitsna nostalgia, suitu helix and quinasatla tiakaias, sahweltanat sanasnat chocolamisin. I'm Rena Priest. I'm a member of the Lummi Nation, and I currently serve as Washington State Poet Laureate. Thank you for inviting me to share a few words this evening. As I thought about what I might say, I decided it might be best to consult the poet for whom Hugo House is named. As I have on many occasions, I return to the dog-eared pages of my copy of Richard Hugo's The Triggering Town. I went there to find one of those perfect, unadorned statements of his to explain why Hugo House means so much to so many in the literary community of Seattle and beyond. Here it is. Writing is hard and writers need help. Many things have changed in the last 25 years, but this fact is as true today as it was when Hugo House opened its doors. Writing is hard, and writers do need help. So why do we write? And why is it so important that we help each other? Hugo says, when you write, you are momentarily telling the world and yourself that neither of you needs any reason to be, but the one you had all along. What a beautiful calling to be a writer. The universe loves us, the world needs us, we need to write, so we may as well try to do it well. The best way I know how to do that is by osmosis. Simply being in the company of writers, talking about writing, absorbing all that goodness. It's a special kind of exchange. One of my first encounters with Hugo House felt a little bit like destiny. I had to be in Seattle on a particular day to conduct an interview for a piece that I had no idea how I was going to write. The National Geographic Society had funded me to tell the story of my tribe's efforts to repatriate a southern resident killer whale that had been in captivity for more than 50 years. I had already done several interviews and tons of research, but I still couldn't find a way into the writing that made any sense. I decided that I may as well bite the bullet and pay for a class. It turned out that on the same day that I would be in Seattle, Hugo House was offering a free one-day course taught by Tristan Atun, an accomplished Indigenous journalist who worked as an editor for High Country News. I went to the class, learned how to write a compelling piece, made the pitch, and had my article accepted and published. This is just one example of the magic that happens when writers have the opportunity to share time and space in the interest of advancing our craft. My most recent experience at Hugo House included an opportunity to be in discussion with past poet laureate Todd Marshall, Seattle civic poet Jordan Imani Keith, Seattle youth poet laureate Zinnia Hansen, and arts reporter Marcy Silman. After our event had concluded, I was mingling at the front of the venue when I noticed that the decorative wood behind the counter had writing scrawled on it. I remarked on it being a nice touch, and Jordan shared that those boards had come from the old house that the organization had called home before the construction of the new venue. She shared about the many good times that she had in that old house and the wonderful people it had brought into her circle. Listening to her reminisce about those happy times, I wished I could have been a part of it. Then I realized that I am a part of it. We are a part of it. It's happening now. The happy times are continuously being made. They happen whenever we have a chance to share time and space as writers. Because writing is hard and writers need help, but we're up to the task. It's why we're here, and we don't need a better reason than that. I wish Hugo House that it will always be a happy home where writers are nurtured and grown. To close, I'll share a little poem of mine in honor of the moon and poets and things that endure. The moon for the poets. We are in a long, long game of peekaboo with the moon. Now you see me, now you don't, and here I am again, and now I'm gone. The game will go on for as long as poets delight in it. May our community go on for as long as we delight in it. Here's to the next 25 years and beyond. Haishka.
Thank you so much. So wonderful to have you here with us. Well, here's to 25 years indeed. Friends, before we go, I want to say thank you. We're continuing to watch your generosity. Abby, thank you. Holly, thank you. We're watching your gifts continue to come in. I know that our board president wanted to say thank you as well. Shahina Piyarali is a leader in the Seattle literary and arts community, focusing her time and energy on promoting South Asian culture as an expatriate. She's been living in Seattle for over 30 years and is a book reviewer for the Seattle-based publication Shelf Awareness. Please welcome to your screen, Shahina Piyarali.
On behalf of Hugo House, thank you so much for helping us celebrate our 25th year. Thank you for supporting our programs and our scholarships, and for helping us sustain this remarkable organization for the next 25 years. My best wishes and gratitude to each of you, and I look forward to welcoming you in person very soon. Good night.
Thank you so much. I'm just watching the chat blow up, talking about you, Rena, everyone loving seeing you here. So before we go, I want to send a special thank you to some folks who couldn't be here tonight. Firstly, thank you so much to the dedicated board members. And thank you to the staff who work so hard, including Louise Kincaid, Ali Ong, Sean Baker Gibson, Forrest Longway, who all worked really hard on an in-person event and then pivoted and worked really hard on this virtual event. Thank you. Thank you, of course, to the dozens of volunteers who offered to help us tonight before we had to go virtual, including the amazing team that helped procure the items for our auction, and the countless volunteers who donate their time. You are all amazing. Friends, my name is Fred Northup Jr. On behalf of all the writers and all the readers that you helped tonight, thank you. And we hope to see you in person next year.